Well, yeah. So, if you wanted to talk to me, I would see. But otherwise, grades are up to date and ready to roll. Let's get started. I need help on, we are still so far behind on math workshops. I need help on 9 through 12. It's simple. You passed out last week. If you don't have it now, you need to see Madeline. We need to go over this, and then we have a new activity today. The new activity is an easy one, so the answers are not posted on the board. We are going to discuss the basis of how it's set up. It is still just counting, but there's no fancy, like, get rid of this ice cream cone kind of junk going on. There is no ice cream, thankfully. Okay, so let's talk about 9 through 12, and then we'll talk about your assignment today. And I do want to see it before you leave. It really is very feasible. Okay, I need help breaking down these radicals. I need some number that multiplies to 80. Hopefully one of the two numbers you told me is a perfect square. 8 and 10, neither of those are perfect squares. Yes, dear. You raised your hand. I thought so. Never mind. Table 5. 16 and 5. Okay, so we picked 16 and 5 because 16 is a perfect square. So Tyler's right. You can have a point, Allie. Tyler's right. 8 and 10 do multiply to 80, but neither number is a perfect square. So we're going to do 16 and 5. What is the square root of 16? 4. So we're going to pull out a 4. So for sure in our answer we have a 16 and a square root of 5, but somehow we got to deal with these variables in between. So there are still points available. We've got to do something with q to the 12th and g to the 2nd. It should be, what should be the final answer? Someone want to tell me before I let Allie do it? Go ahead, Allie. Yep. It's q to the 6th because 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then just g because 2 divided by 2 is 1. But you look silly if you write the 1. So it's 16 q to the 6 g square root of 5. Table 3 out of point. Table... oh, no, never mind.
Did you just see my face? I was like, nope, no.
Okay, I'm needing help with... Are there any questions about number 9? 6 out of point. Number 10, I'm needing help with number 10. 4 out of point.
Is it... Don't you just, like, take K out?
You do, so it should be... What should the final answer be? I'll let you have a point, and he's going to say it and get him a point. That is correct. Now, if you've forgotten, we talked about if it's an odd, we know someone's going to be left under the radical. If you're really struggling, you can always write them out and then circle the pairs. We would have one pair. That's why the one K gets to come out. The other K stays at home because he doesn't have a match. Craig, you get a point. You're welcome. Okay, who have I not added a point to? 1, you can have a point. Yeah, that's because 5 keeps talking. And I would say Allie, thankfully, has gotten you some points, but the reason you haven't gotten is because y'all won't stop talking. Okay, I am needing help with number 11. And you're going to say the wrong answer. I can already tell you. I can see the future. You're going to say the wrong thing.
21.
What times what is 100? I mean, what times what gives you 800? I can read. It's 800. 108 is what I thought you were going to say, like Jacob did. Jacob, didn't you say 108? Okay, 108 is great because 100 is a perfect square. However, we want the largest perfect square possible, which is why Madeline gets the point because she said 400 times 2.
You said it too.
Hunter, you said it too?
I did.
Oh, perfect. You can have a point.
I said it.
So it should be 20 and then a square root of 2. I still need help with those variables and exponents, though. So what do I do with the A? Lloyd gets the point. And what about the B? What else? Yes, because there's 11, so we would back up to 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. We leave 1 at home. So our answer is 20a squared, b to the 5th, square root of 2b. Perfect. You get another point, Lloyd. I'll be really impressed if you know number 12. Yes, dear?
17.
Yeah, so square root of 289 is actually a perfect square. Taylor, you want to know why y'all don't have a point? This is why.
Because I'm asking questions about math.
Yeah, while I'm talking, yes, that is why. You missed all our pearls of wisdom, like 289 is a perfect square. Square root of 289 is 17. Yay. So he's already done that one. Now to just deal with those variables. One of these variables is trying to trick you. Which one's trying to trick you? D to the 0 is trying to trick you. Anything to the 0 power is, thank God, because if you had said 0, I'd cry. So this is really a 1. So there's no need to even deal with him. So they just put that in there to see if you know your exponents. There's no need to even deal with the D. We've just got to deal with the E and the F. So my answer should be what?
E to the squared. 17 E to the E squared. F to the 4. And then E and F.
Okay, Craig said it all the way out. We'll give it to him. Yes, you're right. You back down to 4, but 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's why you bring out the 2. You back down to 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. You're left over with an F.
So 0 to the 0.
5, you can have a point. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Even if it's 0. So I used to do math team, and they would make these long, like super huge equations, and you're just like, oh, I've got all this math to do, and you're like, oh, okay, it's 1. It was nice. Okay, if you're trying to get ahead, I'm a crazy person, and I think we're going to do all the factoring ones tomorrow because we are still super behind on math workshops. If you were trying to get your group points, because let's say maybe you had a bad points week last week, you would have the factoring ones. I don't know, did you? You would have the factoring problems done by tomorrow to help get your group ahead. Okay, Keyshawn, let me see your book for a sec. Ooh, you might already have what I need, don't I? No, I don't think so. Okay. Open your book to page 38. 38. On page 38, you see the start of thankfully an activity that involves no ice cream whatsoever. Yay! However, the only bad news is that this one is pretty easy, so I couldn't put the answer on the board because then what would you do? It's that simple. Yeah, you literally, it'd be like last week, except you wouldn't even try to understand. You would just copy. So let's talk about the first question, and then I'm really going to leave you on your own to get it done. When everyone in your group has shown me they have it done, how many points do y'all have?
3.
Uh-huh. Every single group, when they get done, and everyone in the group shows me they have it done, they can add 3 points.
What? 3.2?
Yes. Okay, 3.2 is 2 pages, and it only has 7 problems. When Hunter gets that done, it would be smart of him, like super smart of him, because he doesn't want to be behind this week, smart of him to go ahead and start working on, it says the 3-5 exercises. So if you keep flipping, you're like, man, we got a lot left in chapter 3. The most important section you could have done is the 3-5 exercises. Anytime the textbook says the word exercises, I put that bad boy in the 60% category. So I'm telling you, the 3-5 exercises are going to be due on Friday. You're going to have some time during class, like today you're going to have some time, but you've got to be productive in order to get them done. There are 16 problems. You only have to pick 12. So let's say Brandon is hating on ice cream. I think there is at least one ice cream, so like he wants to skip that one. I think like number 18 is ice cream. So Brandon already knows I get to skip 4. I'm skipping the 18 because I don't like the ice cream. So that is going to be due on Friday. You're going to have lots of time, but if you're not being productive during that time, Friday's going to come and go and it's going to be over. Whew, I'm putting it in the 60. Okay. And the reason we can do that and say you have time for it today is because this rectangle activity is going to fly. So I'm going to draw number 1 on my little Post-it, and let's talk about it, and then from then on it's you. If you realize the pattern quickly, good for you. It will help you fill in the rest. It's fine with me when it says, like, if it ever says explain, just say there's a pattern. That's fine. There is a pattern. Okay, so we start off with a 1 by 3. Okay, so how many rectangles do we have?
One, because the rest are squares.
Okay, the squares are also rectangles. Squares are rectangles. Rectangles just aren't squares.
What?
If you have to be a rectangle, you just have to have opposite sides the same, and a square has opposite sides the same length, and you have to have right angles. Squares have that. Squares are rectangles, but rectangles aren't squares because rectangles don't have all four sides the same, whereas squares do. That's literally part of the difference. And then there was a little bit different with how you did math with their diagonals. I taught geometry for like 3 years. Trust me. I can out-argue with you with shapes. Okay, so yes, there is the giant one. I get that. There's one giant rectangle that we see on the paper. But if we're counting the squares, there's 2, 3, 4. And sadly, so each square is a rectangle. So 2, 3, 4. I see 4 right now. And sadly, that's not it. If you do 2 and 3 together, there's option number 5. And if you do 3 and 4 together, there's option number 6. Now, the better way to write it out is as follows. So that's great, and nothing wrong with that. But like if I'm arguing it to myself, I normally number the boxes 1, 2, 3. So yes, we have 1. Yes, we have 2. Yes, we have 3 all by themselves. We also have the 1, 2, the 2, 3, and the 1, 2, 3. That's why we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options. So it's up to you. Either, when I keep up with it with myself, I either draw it out using like this, or I list it the way Brandon was saying. He said 2, 3, yeah, so 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the easiest way, I think. But you do it however you feel like you need to do it. Eventually you should realize there is a pattern. Yes, it will take a while to figure out the pattern. There's not a symbol for the pattern like there is. Anyway, if you figure out the pattern and you want to discuss how to symbolically write that without having to list it out every time, just come see me. Okay, are there any questions about this? This one should be a nice one if you work with your group. It really shouldn't be that deep. Yeah, it shouldn't be that deep.
Is it better than ice cream?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I figured out the pattern.
Perfect.
I don't like it.